Okay, welcome back. We're talking more about simplifying radical expressions. What we're doing now, the directions on these examples say, use the quotient rule to divide, then simplify if possible. So, first example, the square root of 35 over the square root of 5. And by the way, neither one of those numbers is a perfect square, so we can't do anything with either one separately. But we can say, like it says, use the quotient rule, the square root of 35 over the square root of 5 would equal the square root of 35 divided by 5. And since 35 divided by 5 is 7, what we have is the square root of 7. The end. What about the square root of 12 divided by the square root of 4? We can do the same thing here and write it as the square root of 12 divided by 4, which is the square root of 3. Now, another way we could have gone with this, the square root of 4 on the bottom, that would just be 2. We can do that. And the square root of 12 on top, we can simplify the way we were doing in that last video and break it up into the square root of 4, which is 2, times the square root of 3, which is just the square root of 3. And then when it's 2 times the square root of 3 divided by 2, the 2 divided by 2 part divides out, and we end up with just the square root of 3. So it works either way. How about this one? The square root of p to the 7th q to the 3 power divided by the square root of p to the 3q. Okay, let's put it all under one big square root sign. So it's the square root of p to the 7th q to the 3rd over p to the 3rd q. Now, what can we do to simplify that? Remember how that works? We can subtract the exponents. So p to the 7 over p to the 3 would be p to the 7 over 7 minus 3 power. And q to the 3 over q just to the 1 power would be q to the 3 minus 1 power. So we're looking at, under the square root sign, we have p to the 4th power times q to the 2nd power. And then the square root of p to the 4th power would be p squared, and the square root of q to the 2nd power would just be q. So we end up with p squared q. Let's try this one. Here we're doing fourth roots. So the fourth root of one thing over the fourth root of the other thing is the fourth root of the top over the bottom. So now we've got, under one big fourth root sign, we have the fourth root of 328 to the 7 power over 10a to the 3 power. 320 divided by 10 is 32. A to the 7 divided by a to the 3 is a to the 4th. And now let's see if there's anything we can do with this. Now 32 isn't a perfect 4th power, but we can factor it into 16, which is 2 to the 4th power times 2. So now we've got the 4th root of 16, which is just going to be 2, times the 4th root of 2, which we can't do anything more with, times the 4th root of a to the 4th power, and the 4th root undoes the 4th power and gets us back to a. So we've got 2a times the 4th root of 2. So that's it for section 10.3. So have fun doing the review quiz and the homework, and I'll see you next time for section 10.4.